Skies here in the desert just north of Las Vegas, Nevada, as we are set for the first of two races here for the Las Vegas Motor Speedway doubleheader round of the Saleen Cup. We did have a race that unfolded last night. That was a makeup race for the one missed at Road America due to weather, but this is the first of the actual Las Vegas races. I'm Greg Creamer. Alongside Rick Titus, we have Ryan Marine down in the pits, and the safety vehicles are out. The show vehicle from Saleen, that beautiful orange machine, is parading the field around here as we are getting ready to go and get this race underway. And unlike yesterday's race, if everybody tuned in, only the drivers that had qualified for that Road America round that were here were allowed to race that one. That's only fair. Here, we have the whole shebang, and we have a number of cars, a great turnout of the beautiful Saleen S1s here.
Yeah, he came here with 21. Looks like we'll have 18 on the grid. Still some teething problems with a couple of the cars, but in all fairness, on this double driver format where they take a break midway through the race, Greg, you know that they can now share and still gain points, so it doesn't hurt them as bad. This is the Saleen S1 Cup. These cars are Saleen specific, called S1s. They are powered by a four-cylinder, 2.2-liter, 450 horsepower turbocharged four-cylinder of Saleen's brand, and of course the tubs are aluminum and the bodies are carbon fiber. The cars come in at 2,200 pounds. And as we saw at Road America, which is famous for being a horsepower track and having very long straights, right up against 160 miles an hour. So the cars are not slow. They are on full racing slicks.
And they are seriously good in the braking zones.
They are, boy, and what's interesting, and you and I have been through this a lot of times, the brakes don't fade. They hold up really well. But I think one of the biggest controversies you and I came here with was, would these drivers like this course? And, you know, Thursday the opinions were soft. By Friday they were improving. And today people are really getting it figured out and starting to figure out that you can have a rhythm here. And even if it's a little oily, you can rotate this course, and they're starting to like it.
Well, I think what they're finding too is that as this track rubbers in just a little bit, you know, now it's got a little bit of grip. You can run a little wider lines as we're taking a look at the starting lineup here, and that just makes it racier and more fun. And if you're wondering, folks, okay, we completed a pace lap, but yet we're still on a pace lap. Are they doing two? It's a lap and a half. And the simple reason that the start line would be, the normal one would be a little bit too close to a very tight turn into a tight chicane. And there's a nice straight on the infield that they're using as the infield starting area. So they basically do a pace lap and a half. And right there you see the safety cars just take off and gap the field. And now the field under control of the pole sitting car here, which is the number 3. That looks like Rainey He is getting ready to go. And a lot of drivers that we haven't seen so far in this championship because of the numbers of cars that have been able to turn out.
You know, they race these same cars in Japan, or in China rather, and so 2 Chinese drivers have come over just to get more seat time. So, and they have proven quick. A number of the new drivers have proven to be very, very fast. The qualifying times are within tenths. It's just incredible how hard they're on top of each other.
Very, very close indeed. And some great stories that have unfolded in this field as well, which we will allude to here once we get racing under our belt. Here we go. And it is Randy He's going to lead them up to the line. And they roll into the throttle, and a big move down to the inside. Couple of cars, tough to get 3 abreast in here. A little bit of lockup. And that was Carter. No, excuse me, that was Austin Riley, who just floated wide on the outside. Nice job to save it here.
Unfortunately, not everybody did.
Yes, that is unfortunate indeed.
Got a spinner. Good news is Johan was glad to actually make the corner clean.
Yes.
That was not the case last night. It got very aggressive, and you called it right. Here's one of our smoother, faster, cleaner drivers. Got shoved off the track last night and was not a happy camper. You were right. I saw him in Victor Circle. He was not pleased.
A little bit of that red mist, perhaps.
He got shoved on, and he was looking for who shoved him. Poor Austin Riley. I wonder if that did a tire or what.
Yeah, I don't know whether we just suddenly saw the smoke, and you thought it was just lockup, but maybe there was a touch, maybe there was something that affected it. But he had a really impressive run yesterday in that race. And,
he did.
Good to see as well. As the field coming through, it is Liang in the number 7 now up front over the Schwartz and Miller entry, the number 6. Then the 3 of He. Another look at that start.
Pay attention to Austin now. Oh, he might have had some assist here.
Yes. Ooh, there it is.
He just got encouraged to go in deeper than he probably should have.
Yep.
Those two got together. That will not please Mr. Saleen because he was put on a pretty strong lecture about these cars are coming back unscathed or I will punish.
Yep, and that was it. And I think, oh, there you can see the number 3 running way, way wide, and that now is the reason that the number 7 of Liang and the number 6 of Johann Schwartz has been able to sneak around and pick up the spot. I think the problem for Austin was if he got that little tap in the back, and I couldn't tell if he was, but he just carried too much speed, but he tapped the car in front, and it may have damaged that left front corner, and that's why he's limping around right now.
There's some vital stuffs up there. I mean,
yes,
we've got intercoolers, oil coolers, and radiators right up in the nose of these things. So they're not tolerant, as we learned last night when we saw a drop kick take place. But this is where we expect to see Johann run, right up there at the front. We know Brandon Davis is going to be fast.
You bet.
These guys get clear track, they're going to go. This is a series in which you could participate. Though this is the last weekend of the year here, next year, it will gain at least 2 more races, and you can be involved. All you got to do is stop down in the pit area and talk to the Saleen folks, and you could be driving one of these cars.
Nice move there. If you jump in as Davis gets down to the inside. That's not an area where a lot of people have said you can do an overtake, and he did it. Somebody, though, getting it wrong, looping it, will pick up that number. That's the number 55. That is the Wilson Keegan shared entry. And gathered it up and will continue, but going to lose an awful lot of ground. But that was a sweet pass.
Well, you told me when I sat down last night with you that, you know, hey, Rick, this track's got a reputation for being very hard to pass on. Every driver I've talked to since we had that conversation has totally concurred with you that if you see a window, you got to go for it.
Yeah, you can't wait. I mean, if that opportunity presents, you got to go because you don't know when it's going to happen again. And great run here in the early going by Don Liang. That number 7 entry, and then here comes Johann Schwartz. And the story we wanted to tell about Johann when Bryce Miller had the issue in one of the practice sessions and his car done. And Johann and Bryce are good friends.
Apparently.
And Johann went over to the Saleen paddock and said, "You're going to put Bryce in with me." And they said, "You sure? I mean, you got your case." He said, "Nope." He said, I want that to happen." Johann had to run back, get in, and do a practice session in his touring car.
Right.
He got out and went running over to make sure that Bryce understood what was going on. And Bryce said, "You don't have to do this." And Johann said, "I know, but I want to." And he goes, "Yeah, but this is your deal." And Johann said, "We're doing it." And Bryce was about to argue again about it, and the car wheeled up. And he looked at the car, and already next to Johann's name and his flag, his name and the American flag, he goes, "Well, I guess I'm doing it." And Johann said, "That's what I've been telling you."
That's how you close the deal, folks.
Exactly.
Again, these drivers will get 2 races a weekend, variable number of practice and qualifying, fair amount of track time, and a 2,200-pound, 160-mile-an-hour car that has proven to be very safe. You and I, unfortunately, have seen a couple of very serious shunts, and in both cases, the cars will be, well, one's already been rebuilt, and the other one will be.
Absolutely, and a big fun quotient, I think, is
every driver gets out smiling and love it.
Yeah,
I have to tell you, if I was going to give a most improved.
All right, let's watch this. There's Davis making that pass down to the inside of the number 3. Look at the back of there. Oh, it's a touch. It's a touch as the yellow machine. They tried to go 3 abreast into turn 1 and 3 into 1. That's always difficult math. And it was the 55 up on the outside there, Wilson and Keegan, that got rotated around a bit.
I suspect that's going to come up in a discussion somewhere.
You would imagine.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, now this will be a tight race here because Mr. Davis is quick, Johann Schwartz is quick. These are 2 really top-level drivers going at it now.
Yeah, but Brandon has, he's been, we talked about this yesterday, when you look at just like poles and fast laps, he has been the guy.
He has been our fastest guy.
Yeah, in speed. And so Johann up in front right now, and I was watching, you get a good look here. Look at Johann. Everyone, you see that glance in the mirrors. He wants to know where Brandon is for a couple of reasons. One, if he can cleanly defend, he's going to do it.
Right.
But if Brandon makes a lunge, we talked about it. Johann wants to be able to say, "Okay, I'll give you the room, and we'll keep racing." So nice job there. And keep in mind, this is the battle for second. As Dun Liang is a couple of seconds up the road, and recovering after that off is the number 3 right now of Rainey He. that sits in the 4th spot, and then Lawrence Loshak completes your top 5 in the number 36.
And Loshak won last night with a really clean drive, and he was quick. He was really quick. The pressure's really on because the stakes are high. We have a Pro-Am division in this same race, and we have a Young Guns division. And the winner of each of those 2 championships, which will be solved by tomorrow, gets a factory GT4 ride in the Saleen S1 as equipped to run on that portion of the series. So when I walk around the pits, it's a little bit more amped up tension than we've been seeing at the previous events.
Absolutely. Have you got more cars you've got to deal with now to be able to get up front?
Boy, very fair point.
And have a shot at that. I mean, just when the numbers are up, the intensity's up. There's no question, especially when that big old carrot is sitting out there.
Now, here's something you and I both know. We know that Johan does not fade easily under pressure.
No.
We've watched him in his touring car, and he's had 3 cars on him. Portland comes to mind.
Yes.
And Road America. And this man does not, you're not going to rattle his cage. This is one dude from Denmark that really gets it done.
Yeah, he doesn't wilt.
But that gentleman behind him is very fast and notoriously competitive. He will not make this easy.
Now, Brandon, a former World Challenger GT champion, race winner in the touring car division. I mean, he's...
Yeah, these are 2 champions actually haven't had each other right now.
You bet they are. Working really hard here. And we understand for Johan that there's somebody back in Denmark who's tuning into the webcast every time he gets to the track. So I just want to say, hey, Mut, to his mother who's tuning in.
He's... to know Johan is such a privilege. He's such a good guy.
It is. Oh, the 18 Carter.
What's it going to take?
And again, he was so quick yesterday, had that brilliant run going.
We thought he had it won.
Yeah, unfortunate to be sure.
And he's watching that Young Gun Championship slip away. And Austin Riley, now I don't know, we haven't seen a camera on Austin for a while now.
No, he was limping. He was trying to limp his way around. I don't know if he made it into the pits. And one thing I noticed when I saw him limping for Austin, I was going to point this out, there may have been a bump from behind, and it may have cut his left rear tire.
Okay.
And that would totally cross-weight the car, and he wouldn't have braking efficacy, and that's how he tapped the other car.
Good point.
I think that may have been the issue.
Good point. Well, this appears to be our most competitive shootout, at least at the front of the field.
Yeah.
As you can see, the leader has not gotten away, though that won't be an easy distance to close because the lap times are so competitive in these cars.
Right.
The drivers do get to tune the aerodynamics to their liking, the brake bias, and a little bit of the alignment stuff. The engines are tuned by the engineers, which, as you know, is all done by a computer now.
Right. Davis was able to get to the inside coming through the exit of 12, and they are side by side down into the chicane. And Johan doing exactly the right thing there. At a certain point, you just have to concede, he got me, and let him go through, and he did exactly that. But that was all set up by Davis getting the car rotated and onto the throttle early coming through turn 12. That was beautiful.
Totally agree. But he better not relax, because you and I both know the gentleman behind him now will not make this a sleepy event.
Not at all. And keep in mind, Davis has fast lap in the race. A couple of laps ago, he turned a 40.6.
These cars are quick.
Well quicker than the people that are running up in front of him. So we'll see if he's able to run down Don Liang right now.
He has a very strong desire to win. I mean, Johan definitely expresses it, but you can see it in the eyes of Mr. Davis. He's one hungry perfectionist kind of dude. Okay, so we got a midfield battle going on here. And again, if I was going to give a most improved trophy, I'd say Molly Saleen, who's probably had the least amount of time in these cars because she is Saleen's daughter. Oftentimes her car's been given to somebody else to use, or parts have been robbed off of her car. And the poor girl's been great about it. But between Eric and Mr. Powell, they've worked with her, and she has really started to come to the game.
Yeah, no question about that. And it's been fun to watch here. And that car at the lead of this queue is that Wilson Keegan engine that had that spin up on the outside trying to get into the chicane. That blue machine, and then tucked right in behind them is the number 5, and it's Dr. Alex. He said, just call me Dr. Alex if you want, because his last name is Marmorinu.
Yes.
It's a big one. And he said, I said, and when I first met him, he said that he's running in the Saleen race. I said, oh, which one? And he said, Mambo number 5.
Mambo number.
He said, remember me that way. He's a heart surgeon and a real character, and that's him in the number 5 machine. And then behind him right now is the number 10 of Bill Hines.
The car behind him is one of the new cars that came here this weekend. And frankly, it's my favorite graphics. And these cars are beautiful, don't get me wrong. And there's a lot to like. Mr. Davis's car is one that I like a lot because you and I both know from where it comes.
Yep.
But, boy, I'm liking this new black, white, and yellow that just showed up the other day.
Yeah, it's very impressive. A little bit ago, we saw the entry of Mr. Fartek down into the pits, the number 18. Ryan, what are you hearing?
The car is being driven back behind the wall as we speak, unfortunately. It's something to do with the turbo. They're not entirely sure exactly what the gremlin is, but it's good enough and significant enough that it's ended his day early. So that car headed behind the wall as we speak.
Well, you've talked about it. Thanks, Ryan. You've talked about it, Rick. I mean, this is an inline-4 turbo that's producing a prodigious amount of power, which means you're running a lot of boost through this car. And this is a very public, racing-oriented R&D program. And it's not a surprise to see that there are the occasional turbo issues because it's just an immense amount of pressure being put through.
It's interesting, though, and you and I both noted it last night. Poor Carter is the only one who's experienced this particular band ring problem.
That's true. That's a good point.
And now this looks to me like it's the third time it's happened to him. It's a shame the kid is so good. He had a clean one last night. He would have won a couple of other races had the cars remained reliable. But as Saleen pointed out to me, the cars are running longer and harder than when we started this whole thing.
Without a doubt.
And you know what that does to the checklist.
Yeah. Start ticking things off, and all right, we've got that one resolved. But we've talked about it before, Rick. As you solve that one issue, and then the car goes up to that next level of speed and cornering load and everything, the next weak link appears.
Yep.
And it's not till you've done that full cycle of getting, working through all those, that you've got a car that's ready to go. Now, there have been programs where the cars have been announced. They've come out. There's a bunch of them, and they're reliable. Well, believe me, they've been going through an amazing testing program. It's just that Saleen has decided to do this publicly and let people see what the potential is of these machines. You got to give them some credit for that.
No, totally. And you know how anal retentive Mr. Saleen is. Very, very, very detail-conscious guy. Probably one of the most detail-conscious owners in the business. But he has taken it well that, look, this series didn't exist in April, and we've built all of these cars, came to this track with 21 of them. The crew's done an amazing job. These cars look nearly identical to the street car that we produce late next year. And that's going to be $100,000. We're not allowed to use the term supercar because despite performance, dollar figures off will play into that title of supercar.
Yes.
So between 1 and 130,000, you can own a car like this that looks almost identical to the race cars. It's a good value. It really is.
And I'll tell you, once Davis got around Johann Schwartz, he has closed down on your race leader, this green number 7 of Don Liang. And Davis just resetting fast lap a couple laps ago to 140.5, and that margin is evaporated technically at the line about 0.6 of a second. And this battle is on. Schwartz still hanging on to third, Rainey he in fourth.
Well, you know, we've
watch
got
it here.
2 Chinese drivers over from the Saleen S1 Cup Series in China, where they've got cars, and these 2 guys invested in coming over here to run. I think they're going to go home with a big advantage because they've learned a lot this weekend, and they are fast. Look, we got 1 at the lead and 1 in 4th. So doing a really good job.
Yep, and under the classification on our scoring screen, it says G, which means guest. So I don't think they will be actually part of the points scenario here. So here's where Brandon Davis now needs to do some risk-reward calculations. It's like, how hard do I want to work to get by him if he's not going to be a player in the points? Right now, I would win my class points. How hard do I push?
Well, I tell you what, that's a brilliant reminder because you can get caught up on the moment here. And you know Davis, he wants to win.
Yep.
But I think you're dead right. This is where one has to analyze, where do I stand and what do I gain if I risk getting no points by making a bad call?
Now, what could change the dynamic is if Johann Schwartz suddenly finds speed and closes up, starts pressuring him, then maybe, well, I've got to get around and go. But for Brandon, let's see here. This is he did make a pass here before.
He has
a very narrow run.
Yep.
But pretty smart move there by Dion Lee to fade over and then swing out to set up for that corner. But Johan's a little closer.
Well, this battle will help Johan.
Yes,
you know
it
what I
will,
mean?
for sure.
It'll slow those guys down a little because now they're duking. So you got the lead car doing a defensive line, and the other car doing a pursuit and pass line, if at all possible. Oh, that's our Martina. She's a favorite of ours. We love her. She's new to this whole thing, and she has been so smart at her approach. And it's funny, she'll run right near the back, but somehow by the end of the race, you and I have seen it several times now, she ends up scoring well. Now, see, she just had a big influence on what happened here.
Exactly.
And now Johan's back in the battle as well.
Yeah, that's Dun Liang was being very respectful.
Yes.
And not sure exactly what Martina was going to do.
Oh, Johan.
And Johan, bit of a surprise there, and floated wide at that stage. But there's that's the experience of also of Brandon Davis. Was he read what was happening and realized that and I've said this many times, that race car drivers are by their nature chronic kleptomaniacs. And they will steal any opportunity. And Brandon looked at that and went, yep, I can steal that outside line, I'm going.
You know, my father was a pretty well-known race driver, and he once said to me, he goes, I know in civilian life, possession is 90% of the law. But he goes, in racing, corner possession is 100% of the law.
Exactly.
So he goes, I might screw the corner up for both of us.
All right, watch this here. Oh, and she was
rear
thinking
bias.
about a move, then decided to better of it and lock those rears up. I think you're absolutely right. And she got the car moving right as that lead group was coming up on her. And if she just stayed parked there, they would have gone around. But for her, on the one hand, it's like she doesn't want to go down a lap.
Right. I can't blame her, though. They're going to pick her off.
So
you got to wonder what was going through Johan's head right now.
Well, he was thinking, I could get up and around the outside of the 7 of Dun Liang, and Liang didn't realize he was there, I don't think, Rick.
You know what? I just bet he was surprised because he had not been a mirror problem till now.
Yep. So he just drove his normal line and tracked out, and suddenly Johan was going, ooh, I'm running out of real estate.
Yes. Now, Johan was using the draft and had some pretty good pull on him.
Yep.
But thought better of it. Again, this is a smart cat, and this is not over yet.
Well, and the thing for Johan, when he went bouncing over those curves, you could see all those things, the black things flying up in the air, which are the marbles that are offline.
Good point.
And they get on a hot, sticky race tire. It takes sometimes a lap or two to clean them off.
It can take 2 laps, and they're miserable while they're on there.
Oh, it's like a vibration you wouldn't believe, and no grip.
It takes a tire out of balance. It makes it greasy as heck on the corners to get those things peeled off. Of course, you see Formula One races when they end, you see the guys drive over there to get those for the weight.
Weight and ride height, especially for those guys.
I hadn't even thought about the ride height.
Yeah,
Very
pile
good point.
on those marbles as much as you can. You can lift a car up by half an inch.
I had never thought about that, Greg. That's awesome. And a trick I might use at some point. Wow, never thought about that.
Watching the pursuit here.
Yep.
Johan getting a run here.
He's trying to use an open line, get a few more RPM. I don't know that it's going to be enough to pull it off.
The thing is he's up there now.
He is up there.
Now he's got to come down, and how hard is Dun Liang going to fight? He's fighting him.
Whoa, there it is.
And finally let him through. And I think that was very respectful by Dun Liang for the simple reason that he said, he knows he's not in the points. These guys are racing not just for points and the championship, but for that potential of a factory ride. And Don, that was very, very gentlemanly.
Clean. That was really clean.
Yep. And Don, he fought him as cleanly deep as he could, and if he had continued, it would have gotten ugly, and he dipped the brake and said, go ahead.
I will, knowing Johan, I bet he walks over afterwards and says, thank you for being so clean.
I wouldn't be at all surprised. So watch this again here now. We're going to go back and take a look at that. And here's the run. And Johan just freeing the car up, actually popping onto the banking. And now he just drifts back down to be in that right line, because you're not really supposed to have those right side tires over that white line. And you get to the chicane, and he brought it down just at the right moment. Liang, driver's instructions are you've got to let that guy down underneath that line, and did exactly that. So played it to perfection, both those guys.
But you can see what happens once they get by him. They do scoot.
Yep.
Brandon's gone. And we'll just have to see. Oh, gosh, that's my favorite graphic color right there.
Flash of Bill Haynes down in the pits.
Look at the brake smoke.
Yeah. It doesn't mean they're not working. It just means they're working at serious temp. And
now here's Molly making her driver change. Now that.
Yep.
That kind of looks like Eric Powell's helmet.
I believe it is Eric Powell.
He's been coaching her.
Yep.
Oh, I think that's definitely Eric Powell.
Yep, absolutely.
Watch for this thing to start flying.
Yeah.
Mr. Powell's very quick. This is Molly's got her favorite color on her car, so she's very happy about that.
It's a sharp graphic package. I know it may not be one of the evocative historical ones, but it's eye-catching.
You know, it's funny. In the garage, I didn't like it, but
there's Dr. Alex.
And on the track, I do. I think the thing looks good.
He has maybe done the Mambo #5 out there.
Oops.
Had a moment. Into the pits now comes Ms. Kwan.
Yep.
And this might be that
Martina Kwan.
Her stop now. Everybody has to do that mandatory stop.
We are at that point where they can go ahead and take it now.
Yep. So she's in, and you can see all of the Saleen engineers looking at all the components. And again, one of the reasons that they do this stop is so that in that window, the engineers can get over there, look over the car, download data if they need it, just again to try and speed along the development here.
Yep, and it's been very helpful. We've learned a lot at the halfway points of these races. Boy, Brandon just looks so smooth and calm.
Does.
Very fast driver.
Yep, just
again, 2,200-pound car, aluminum tub, carbon fiber body, powered by a 2.2-liter, 450-horsepower engine. And Steve Saleen has been involved in every process from the aerodynamics of this car. Now we got somebody must be backwards or something for seeing the yellow.
Full course for the number 5 there,
yeah.
Dr. Alex.
There are no gimmicks on these cars. They're real.
Alexander Murray and you.
Again, if you just started following this series, you could be, in fact, one of these cars for next year. And I think we're going to gain 2 more races. I think we're going to be like 6 races. Okay, see, they're all coming in for their 2-minute break.
This is the
Some
time,
will do a driver change. Johan giving it off to his buddy.
One of the nice things is if you do decide you want to run in the series, it's a spec series. And the nice thing about that from a driver's perspective is you're not going to be outspent on motor development. You're not going to be outspent on chassis development. You have a car that is identical to everybody else in the field, which gives you the opportunity to show what you're capable of. There's the other side of it too, is if you succeed, it's on you. If you don't, it's on you.
On you.
So, there is that little bit of pressure. And here comes that driver change. Once again, just a class act by Johan to turn that car over to his friend Bryce Miller, who had the incident with his car, and say, no, my friend, you're going to go out and run this with me here. So here are some of the cars that stopped early, and they're now able to get there.
Yeah, they can come in as early as 20 minutes into it, 50-minute race, but they can't go later than 30 minutes, so they got to get in.
So for Brandon Davis, I don't know that he's stopped yet. So
you know what? That's a very good point.
Yeah.
And they've got radios in these cars. I know they're talking to him.
Come on, Bryce. Come on, the window net. Get the window net.
I don't, as a driver, I hate doing these driver changes, and Calvin and I have been teammates before. We've helped each other in and out. I don't know, as a driver, you're just kind of amped, and to do this stuff is really frustrating.
It is.
Difficult.
And the only way that you get over that anxiety and that angst and make it work is repeat, which is, it's like getting to Carnegie Hall, man. Practice. That's the way you do it. And I always like it, stuff to that. The ultimate example of getting and just training the anxiety, the fear, everything out of somebody with the simulations that the astronauts do.
Boy.
They repeat it to the point that no matter what's going on, it's like, here's what we have to do, here's what we have to do.
It's almost muscle memory with those guys.
Exactly. And it trains the fear or the anxiety or the nerves or whatever just right out of you. And that's why in the top flights of pro racing, the race shops that in races that do pit stops and driver changes and all that kind of stuff, they have gyms where the crews train, the drivers can help train, and then they will take time and spend so much time every day. I mean, classic example, Corvette racing in the American Le Mans series. I'm talking to Danny Binks, and he said every day, he said, we do an hour of just pit stop.
Do they really?
You bet. because that can win us a race.
One thing that might surprise people to learn is that there is a requirement that you be able to get out of these cars in X number of seconds. And so they will test drivers. These drivers have FIA licenses, and they want to know if it went bad, how quickly can you get out? And there's a delta.
The egress test.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. And there we go. Brandon now makes his approach down into the pits for his mandatory stop. That's when you're looking at timing screens, you see that he's got a 2-minute 15 lead. Well, that's why.
Okay. Yeah. He's feeling pretty confident with that. I wonder why Dr. Alex has an issue.
Well, I just saw his hands went up like, I'm not sure what's going on, and then he turned on the wheel just a little bit. So he may feel like there's something not quite right on the front end of that car, whether it's steering or something.
You know, I'll be honest with you, Greg, one of the things that surprised me is how much these cars can idle without overheating. You know, the cars that I've been in, you can't let them run like this.
Yeah, for a race car, yeah. 'Cause there's no fans to be blowing air through the cooling.
They are a power steering car.
Yep.
Again, there's a lot of life support for the engine up front. Oil cooler, intercooler, radiator, all up front there, even a power steering cooler. Yeah, Alex is feeling something that he's not happy with.
Yeah. They're chatting with him pretty intently here.
Well, at this juncture, he's the one that's felt it, so his input's pretty darn critical.
Absolutely.
Oh, it just kills you to sit here like this.
Yeah, it does.
Well, now they're under a yellow. That helps.
Well, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one upside. And it was smart of everybody to just duck in.
Yep.
And,
Use the opportunity.
And if you can time it when you've got a yellow flag and you can time your stop so that the field starts what ends up being the last lap of caution.
Yep.
And you come out at the back of it by third of a lap, you can have a lot of heat in your tires by the time that green flag flies.
Isn't that that's the truth? Now you're giving away the industry secrets here, buddy.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we may have to race against somebody that now knows that. So, the cars are gorgeous. You know, somebody said on Facebook, "Boy, I didn't know Saleen was going to be getting involved with Corvette." He's not. These cars were introduced 3 years ago, and the Corvette about that many months ago. We're Corvette fans. We think that's a heck of a value.
You're a sports car fan.
Yeah,
absolutely. But this is speaking of value. This is another one.
Well, to Saleen's credit, he's worked very hard to bring these cars to market. And, he did preview the GT4 concept the other night, Thursday night. There's one sitting in that car's now sitting in the paddock area over there where they've got their own compound. That's such a little compound. And again, the attention to detail. So typically, Saleen.
Yeah, that trade secret thing that we were talking about. Yeah. I learned that the hard way in one of my first races. Was late to the pre-grid, and they held me up. And so I had qualified, I think, second or third in class, which was like 20th out of 35 cars, something like that, all the way to the back of the field. And so then they go to release me, and then they stop me again. I'm going, and I go, what? And I bring my hands up, and I realize I have no gloves on. Ooh. So by the time I get out, I'm like way behind the field on the pace lap. I catch him coming out of the last turn, and I went, this might work. And sure enough, green flew, and I just pulled to the right and took off. And I just went, all right, I have to remember that one. So but speaking of great drivers with lots of secrets, Eric Kern would be one of them, Ryan.
Yes, he would.
He's got as much, time in these cars as anybody, most likely, doing a lot of the testing and development driving. Eric, I know you went down to Turn 1 to watch the start of this race. It was an entertaining Turn 1, was it not?
Yeah, there's no question. After yesterday's Saleen race, it was something I wanted to see to make sure these guys are staying off of each other, because there's some pretty good dive bombs in there and kind of some door-to-door stuff. And we're trying to keep this Saleen Cup as clean as we can. We want some good racing, close racing, but the guys need to stay off each other. So I figured I'd go down there and see if I need to talk to anybody after this race today.
Did you make any notes? Any messages that need to be delivered?
They were better than yesterday, for sure. No, my notebook's smaller than it was after yesterday's start. So the guys are doing a good job, and the Saleen Cup is really cool to see all these cars starting and bringing this fleet of cars here this weekend.
And it really is a fleet here. Amazing to see the growth in number of cars that are coming to these events.
Yeah, there's you can't imagine how much work has been done behind the scenes to get all these 20 cars here, and all the Saleen guys have been working like crazy to get this thing done. This program has been really elevated quickly to get here and get to Vegas and finish out the year with a full count of cars. But you know, let's be honest. I mean, there's still some work to be done and still some things to sort out. But these cars are a blast, and the drivers are loving them and having a lot of fun. And I get to be the driver of all these things all the time. So I've driven every car here and just make sure they all work and make sure they're sorted and make sure everybody's happy, and kind of a little bit of a driver coaching role as well, but make sure that the things are working as good as they can. And yeah, I mean, we keep making big strides, and cars keep getting faster and faster, as you can see.
What is the significance of having a couple of drivers from the Chinese series here to be a part of this, showing the global nature of this S1 Cup?
Yeah, I think the future is going to be, this is going to be more than just a American-U.S. race series with the Saleen Cup. So you're going to see some racing overseas. You're going to see some racing in China. And we brought over a couple of really, really quick guys from China. And, you know, Saleen's got a nice relationship with the Chinese market, and you know, it's going to be great. I mean, it's fun that they're coming here, and hopefully we get to go over there and do the same in the future. So those guys are doing a great job. I mean, one of them, I mean, I think they were 1-2 in today's race. So.
Well, lastly, we saw the unveil of the GT4 car earlier in the week. Are you going to be part of the testing and development of that as well? And what is the future with the GT4 in mind?
Yeah, that was always a concept for Steve, for sure, is to obviously build the Saleen Cup series, and then obviously, you know, then work towards GT4 for 2020. So, yeah, I could be a good part of that. But again, I've been doing all the test and development and the sorting, and like I said, we got a little more work to do, but, you know, and then obviously there's more work to do to get the GT4 program. But how cool would it be to have these cars, you know, a couple of these GT4 Saleen S1s running in the GT4 series? It's fun. I've got a long future and a long history with World Challenge, the SRO, and all that in the past, so it'd be fun to potentially get back in one of these.
No doubt about it. Well, hey, congratulations on the big win for you last weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend here as well.
Yeah,
great to see you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, great to see you guys. Thank you very much.
Boy, yeah, he was part of a big win at the Petite, getting that win. And, of course, he spent a lot of years racing in the started off in the touring car category, racing with real-time racing, and then stepped up and started running in the GT category, and put together a number of wins with that long relationship he has with Whelan and Sonny and the group. And, you know, he was talking about, you know, a couple of really, you know, guests over here from China. He said, a couple of really fast drivers. Well, how good are they? Well, they're second and third, and that's where they were when the pit stop window opened. So, yeah, they're quick.
So you're saying that kind of proves it. I just want to let people know what a privilege it's been for me to work with you and Calvin. Calvin and I are former teammates. You and I have crossed paths a number of times, but I've never had a chance and the privilege to work with you. And I want to be honest, I'm very impressed with Ryan on the pit line.
Oh, he does a very nice job.
He does a really tidy job, and that is not easy to do, to sheep herd where you want that interview to go.
Exactly. Well, one, to find the subject.
Yep.
Two, to you know, have the questions, and then be able to get it done. Yeah, no, he's really top tier. There's no question about it. We're lucky to have him on our broadcast. No question.
Does a really good job. The team's amazing. I'm just so privileged to get to come in here. At least.
And he's cute as a bud.
I'm not trying to date him. I just want to flatter him, Greg.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yourself as well, and Calvin and I have been friends a long time as well. But just a great group of people, and this whole SRO organization has just blown me away.
Yeah, absolutely. Good people, and
oh my
you know,
gosh.
here the Apex broadcast truck and the group here that Clark Hammer has put together. And you know, that's a good opportunity for us to give a shout out here to all the camera people in particular. I mean, we're in a nice cozy booth. You know, the producers and directors, they're in that nice cozy truck, but the camera people are out here in the desert sun during the day and the cool of the evening, and they just do a superb job. And just want to give them a shout out. While we're doing that, we got an opportunity here about all the volunteers that are here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The flaggers you can see in the white out in harm's way that provide the information to all of the drivers. Personal, very special to me because that's how I got involved in being a participant in motorsports, was flagging. Still like to do it whenever I can. It's just a fun hobby to do. But there's lots of different categories and specialties that the volunteers fill here. And to have an event like this, you've got hundreds of them, and can't do it without them. So big, big thank you.
And great attitudes, too. They've just been so friendly and so helpful.
This is the one thing about people that love motorsports, love road racing in particular, is you're part of a very special community. That it's not so much you're just following a sport; it's a lifestyle.
I totally agree.
And
Greg, one of the things I wanted to always say to you, because I've heard you call so many different types of venues. You don't just do road racing. You know, I've seen you do motocross. You've got a lot of experience at other venues.
Well, I've been fortunate, and I mean, what really kicked things off for me was an opportunity when I was doing a motorsports versions of Wayne's World, a little cable access show. Interviewed somebody who owned a snowmobile racing series and needed an announcer at one event, and I said, I'll give it a try. And that's
I'll give it a try.
That's what really launched things. You know, I was a huge fan of racing, but had never announced a snowmobile race. And he had said, well, the guy that was going to announce got sick. We're desperate. We need to go. And I said, I've never announced. He goes, maybe you didn't understand. I said, we're desperate. He said, it's not like you're the top of our short list. You are the list.
So with that shot of confidence,
exactly.
you
So
jumped
I
in on the
said,
deep
well, if
end.
you're willing to roll the dice like that, I'll jump in. And got done with it and just said, I love what I'm doing. And that's kind of what kicked it all off, and I've been very lucky. And let's get down to Ryan Marine with Matt Keegan.
Yeah, we'd like to see Matt out on the track, but unfortunately you're standing talking to me, which is a bummer. What happened?
Well, we're having a little issue. Chris is in the car now, but we're just having a little bit of power issue. We've been fastest all weekend here in practice, and you don't win practice, right? So, we're doing the best we can. Start of the race, I had to swerve pretty hard to avoid some contact with somebody that moved up into me and spun a little bit, but no big deal. We gathered it up and just started, gaining some spots back. But we're struggling just down on power a little bit, and hopefully we'll get it fixed. We're still running, but hopefully we can get it fixed tonight so we can have a proper race tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Yeah, unfortunate, obviously, and for Matt, it was a frustrating race from Road America yesterday when he got involved in some contact, and now to be down on power, and that's just a frustrating one. Saw the pace car, the safety vehicle, make its escape. So now Johann Schwartz will be leading the field around to pick up the green flag to get us restarted here, coming out of turn number 7. And I think that caution delayed a little bit. One, because Martina had Kwan had a little moment at turn 8 again, and that delayed things. And then I think they needed to do the wave around to get Schwartz, Miller, and the rest of the field out in front of the queue, and that just can take a little bit of time. But now we're ready to go. Johann rolling into the throttle coming out of turn 7, and boy, did he get a jump. Dun Liang and Rainey Heed sitting in that second spot, but Lawrence Loshak now right on the back of the number 3 of He right there. That's that white car on the front, red in the back, and Loshak in the white car with the green highlights right there. And then Brandon Davis in 5th, all over Loshak.
Reminder, that's actually Mr. Miller in the Johann
good
car
point.
now.
Yes,
So he's already done a stunning job. But you are the king of understatement. You described the rain at Road America as kind of heavy, and then you just said he got a really good jump. He had a different area code. He was out of here.
Yeah, he timed it to perfection.
He
that's
did.
For sure.
He nailed that.
Look at this now. Brandon Davis going door to door with Lawrence Loshak through the the north apron, and now making the run up to the finish line. And
Look
Brandon,
at Mr. Davis.
boy, he carried some speed. He's going to try an outside pass.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mr. He. And what happened was Brandon got to the inside. That got He too wide of the line, and look at those marbles.
Look at the marbles, like you've been pointing out.
Yeah.
Those little black dots are not your friend.
And obviously Brandon wanting to get to the front here, but that was, I would have to say, that was a bit of an over-optimistic move here.
Gosh.
And right now,
He can't break it off of that barrier.
yeah, he's trying to back it up, and all it's doing is spinning the wheels, so it's hung up on something. But if this field comes around again, and he did get it moving.
Good boy. That was not easy.
Not a lot of damage there. It's scuffed pretty bad.
It's scuffed, but I think he can continue on. I'm hoping.
Yep.
I'm hoping.
He just took a look at his mirrors, and you can see he's giving the car a little bit of a wiggle to see, does it feel solid? Does anything feel a bit wobbly?
That's right. Can I still feel all 4 corners? Yeah. So we got Brandon Davis chasing Mr. Miller now. Very interesting. They were both capable of putting their chin down and getting after it.
Oh, without a doubt. Then Dun Liang sits in the 3rd spot. He, of course, is going to drop well down the order. As we are now into our final 10 minutes.
slick's only going to get hotter and hotter.
That's true, because it's getting shorter and shorter.
Well, I mean, this is...
Wow.
They got one more shot tomorrow. So points is points, and they want them badly.
Did Bryce get down underneath that? He must have. I thought he almost forgot he was supposed to turn into the chicane. He was so high.
Well,
coming up over there, but he got it down and through that chicane. I don't know, because there's that, you can tell there's a little line there right on the apron, but it's kind of covered in black when you get around to the approach to the front straight, if you will. But when it comes white, that's when you had to be down below it. He must have got it tucked in there.
Interesting. That's a good catch on your part. I was not paying attention. Well, this series is doing exactly what Steve Saleen wanted, and that was to preview driver talent.
Yes.
And to give guys that are on the cusp of breaking into a pro level full time a chance to prove that they're capable of doing it. And identical cars is such a great way to call it, because now you know who's getting it done.
Absolutely, and for Bryce Miller, what an opportunity here to, after having the problem with his car, and to find himself, if he can somehow hang on in front of the onslaught that Brandon Davis is going to throw
Mr.
at
Davis is his own army, isn't he? These are sequential 6-speed paddle shift cars. That won't be in the production vehicle, but it is in the race cars. And the pop you hear is when they take it right to the rev limit and then make the gear change, it does make a pop. It doesn't hurt the engine, and it's not affecting the acceleration of the vehicle, just so you know. They're not using the clutch at this point.
Right. It's a lock. Oh! And at the last second, Miller dives into pit lane.
Oh, this is a shame. What's this about?
And able to get it to recognize he had to get it slowed down to the pit speed limit. But yeah, he looked like he was running just fine.
I thought the car was quick.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going wrong here.
So Davis slices through, and Loshak has got around on the 7 of Dun Liang. So Lawrence Loshak now picks up second. Liang third. Cameron Lawrence has had a good run and is up into the 4th spot. And even a bit down on power, the Wilson Keegan car, and that's Chris Wilson, who has taken over from Matt. So it must be a drive-through penalty.
That was a penalty for something, huh?
Yeah. You know what it may have been?
That line you were talking about?
Well, jump start, I
think.
The
jump start.
Because based on what I've been hearing from the SRO official, a little problem at the back of the 34 car of Eric Powell.
Which I would not want to follow right now.
No. Well,
now, is that tire rub?
He is giving it a go and getting around Don Liang. Ah, okay. It was got clarification. It was they were a little shy on that pit stop and driver exchange.
It's supposed to be a full 2 minutes.
Yep. Must have shorted it a bit. Number 10 now of Bill Hines, working his way up the order. He's driven a beautifully judged race. Started back in the field just a little bit. He finds himself now up into the top 6. So a good run there, but I was talking about Chris Wilson. Chris is a long-time driver in the World Challenge paddock for many, many years. Absolutely superb. Great character as well. And this year, running in the Pirelli GT4 America's Sprint X Championship, he's in a Pro-Am pairing with a driver, but he's had some overall poles in that championship.
No
so he has
kidding.
one quick driver. Davis coming through right now.
Is this another?
He's got his hands up in the air. He's not sure what he's coming in for. I don't know whether if this is a drive-through or whether he needs to make a
It feels
stop.
like a drive-through.
It does, doesn't it?
It is. It's a drive-through.
Huh.
Well, they were the two that boogied the hardest on the start, I will have to say.
Yep. But, even though you don't do a driver change, you still have to make that mandatory full 2 minutes.
Yep.
Maybe he shorted that up a little bit. Oh, the smoke even worse now for Powell. And Bill Hines going by in that yellow machine.
I'm beginning to believe that's not tire smoke.
No, I don't think it is. Although you do see some of the smoke. It's emanating from the center of the rear wheel on occasion.
Yep.
Well, and that could be an axle seal. You start getting fluid over onto the brake rotor.
Mr. Powell is quick to go to the curbs, and I don't know if maybe that's starting to take a toll.
That's possible.
I've watched him a lot lately, and he feels that there's a shorter distance to be had. He will definitely. not afraid to get him up on the curb.
Chronic kleptomania.
Yeah.
I will steal space. They'll even steal space, these crazy drivers.
Yeah.
We're coming up on 4 minutes to go. Here's Michelle Kwan out of the car. Oh boy, we're just getting confirmation. Race control. We can expect to see Davis having another drive down pit lane. 2 drive-throughs, one for a shortened pit stop, but the other for avoidable contact as well.
I'm going to avoid some of these people in victory lanes, by the way. There may be some moods here because they've all driven so brilliantly.
Oh, they have. So now we've got Lawrence Loshak,
who won
and
last
Cameron
night, my
Lawrence
friend.
in the lead, the 36 of Loshak, and Hines has gone around and has moved up into second right now. What a run by Bill Hines.
And he's challenging.
Yes,
mean,
he is.
And like you said, from back of field or mid to late field.
He is flying right now. I just want to take a look at, Bill Hines started this race in 11th. Oh!
That was a little mistake.
Got in a little too hot.
I can't believe they haven't black flagged that car.
Me either.
Mr. Powell, I think, is going to see a black flag, mechanical black flag.
Yeah.
As they refer to it, not a driver black. Mechanical black flag will have an orange dot in the middle of it, or a red dot, and the black.
So this battle on at the sharp end of things. And Powell, he's next in line, but I believe he's actually down a lap. So see his car there. And update that Martina now officially retired. Martina going, ooh, look at that. Hines throwing the back end of that
Nice
machine
little
around.
drift going there. Good, clean driver balance there.
Yeah. Sometimes you will use that a little bit to get the car to rotate, to get yourself squared up for a corner a little bit better.
Well, you've referred to it a number of times as racecraft, and I think you're dead on. Sometimes
you have a car that is called fast loose.
Yep.
Where the back end is dancing, but if you're up to the game, you can really use that to your advantage. Like here, get that back end to swing and rotate a bit. All right, expecting to see white flag next time by. Next time by.
You know, it's funny you conjure up that term fast loose because you don't hear it very often, and I think it takes a certain kind of driver to take it to advantage.
Exactly, exactly. And here's Brandon on his second drive-through. I'm sure he is frustrated.
I'm going to avoid him.
Yeah.
A couple of 3 guys here I think I'll just stay away from.
Oh, check that. I'm sorry. I misidentified that car running in second. Those 2 yellow and white liveries, that's the 19 of Cameron Lawrence.
Who's also a very good shoe.
Yes, he is indeed. He is indeed. Hines is running third in the similar liveried car, the number 10, back a couple of seconds of these guys. But this is an out-and-out duel for that lead spot right now as we hit 1 minute left here in this first of the doubleheader, official doubleheader. Oh, and he's going to try an outside move as Lawrence.
And he made it work.
Wow, Loshak, that's some respect right there. As Loshak could have easily drifted over, forced him offline, and gave them both plenty of room.
It's funny because, you know, after last night's victory, you'd think Loshak was going to be pretty jacked up with confidence, but that was clean what he just did. And Cameron's well known for being very fast.
Oh, yeah, he is. He is really stout.
The Pro-Am drivers come here with a lot of experience. These are not right out of driver school kids. These drivers
not at all.
are qualified and could be professional drivers, and in many cases do drive professionally.
As the white flag comes out, watch this one here. Just sticks it around the outside, and right here is where a nice piece of driving by Loshak to not drift over and cloud him.
We saw Carter do that last night
Yes.
and make it work, and it was so clean and pretty.
Yeah. Boy, look at the margin that Lawrence has opened up.
Well, when you pass somebody like that, you're motivated to get gone.
Well, this is very true. And here comes Hines. Here is Hines now sitting in that third spot. And finally,
we knew this
Powell, inevitably just started to, when it smokes like that, and when the smoke starts to stop,
oh, yeah,
that's
you're right.
oftentimes when it's real problematic.
You're dead true. Yep.
So, but what a run here is Lawrence Loshak, or Cameron Lawrence,
Yep.
He had qualified third, but at the start dropped back into the pack just a little bit and has worked his way through. But look at Hines coming out.
Now Loshak's getting picked off again, it looks like.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just either used up tires a little bit or, whoa, Hines way wide. That could be a potential post-race penalty because he was well off of the racing surface.
He was. But unfortunately, Loshak couldn't really capitalize on it either, so that's kind of interesting as well. Bless you.
So here we go. The 19 of Lawrence onto the front straight. Coming up and putting together a great run, Cameron Lawrence. He's had a couple of poles, 3 of them in fact, but this his first win of this championship season for the Saleen Cup. A great drive by Bill Hines, even though I had misidentified him as being 1 spot farther up. Still 11th to 2nd. That's impressive.
Yep.
Then Loshak in 3rd, then with the Wilson-Keegan combo in the 55. Come home in 4th, and even with the drive-through, the Schwartz-Miller entry will finish in the top 5.
You see, Mr. Loshak has pulled up next to Cameron Lewis. I hope to congratulate him.
Yeah, he's.
But we'll see.
Oh, I think so. That was pretty clean racing.
That was good, clean racing, and they both need to be very satisfied with themselves.
Yes, yes.
Very good drives.
And you know, when a guy comes through and barges and bumps and scrapes and everything, that gets your ire up. But when a guy executes a beautifully clean pass and just gets the best of you, you don't get angry at that. You get a little disappointed maybe, but you don't. That doesn't get the ire up, and you have to, you really go, wow, that was a nice pass, man. Well played.
Well, and you put it in your notebook for tomorrow.
You bet. So there's grip out there. Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for proving that to me.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Boy, this championship gets tighter and tighter.
It does. Look at that. Lawrence, young gun, winning overall. That's great to see. Then Hines, Loshak, and Chris Wilson and Matt Keegan, Johan Schwartz, Bryce Miller, and Brandon Davis. Tell you, so strong was Brandon Davis's pace that 2 drive-throughs, and he still ended up in 6th.
Yep, I totally agree.
That's pretty impressive, isn't it? And then, in the John Lang and Rainey Heath, those were the guest drivers there with the white backgrounds on their numbers. So a good run there as well. And then the number 4 of Paul Terry. And then that Molly Saleen and Eric Powell car. I mean, Eric was really wheeling it. He was 3rd in the queue. He was down a lap, but he was easily matching the times of the lead trio that he was racing with up there.
As we've come to expect. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So solid run there, and here we go. Cameron Lawrence has made his way down into pit lane, getting a little bit of help, trying to crawl out of the car. You always you think, okay, I'm ready to go, and there's that one more thing you have to unhook, unbuckle, unstrap, whatever here. So out of the car he gets. And well, he put on a great one here, one of the young guns coming through with a really solid run here. And as soon as that helmet comes off, we'll see if we can grab a quick word with him, and it looks like it's off. Ryan, you ready?
Yes, indeed. Cameron Lawrence, you've been quick all season long, not had the luck. This has to be cathartic to bring it home.
Yeah, this was really fun to get to run the whole race and get to bring home the win for the first finish. Is really exciting. It didn't come out. It was not a boring race at all. So very exciting to finish. Race with some of the guys up front. Very happy when these cars run. They're a ton of fun. So very good showing today for Saleen and the R3 team. So I'm just thrilled to be able to be in the position I'm in right now.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a great run. And what we've seen here now is after a long season of developmental action, the cars finding their reliability, and the end result was a pretty darn compelling race. Lots unfolding. Had that huge long yellow in the middle due to some issues, but it was very racy. Starting to see the potential play out for these machines, and let's take a look at some of the highlights here. And as the field unleashed, it was a great launch by Randy He, who jumped out into the lead, one of the guest drivers coming over from China, but behind him, chaos breaking loose in the back of the pack here, cars looping and spinning in a number of different places. And then it was Brandon Davis making a pass that's difficult to make in that spot for the second spot in the background. Saw the number 55, Matt Keegan, having the car snap around as he was up on the banking just a little bit, gathered it up and was able to continue. And Martina Kwan just locking it up and affected the lead battle here, as at that point it was the number 7 of Dion Lang who had found himself a lead in Brandon Davis, an opportunistic move. While Lang really checked up, he swept the outside and took off. And then Johann Schwartz able to make the move and come up around the outside of Dion Lang as well. And that was going to move him in at that point to a very solid second place as they worked through. Then we had the pit stops that unfolded, and on the restart there was Brandon Davis with a really optimistic move. It cost Randy He a run into the tires. He got a drive through for that, and that was the pass for the lead and what became the win by the number 19 of Cameron Lawrence. We get to do it again tomorrow here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.